big speech. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta push the button and I have to stop. So, so no big speech for starters. But we'll talk about how to find the resources that we use for this class. You can get by in this class if your books all got lost or whatever. If you didn't have them, if you're waiting for them, whatever. If you have a computer, you can use your computer. If you have a tablets, chaos satini. It's getting started. And if you want to print them, you can print them. If you can't afford to print them, let me know. I could print them. At some point this semester, I have like my own color printer, and then I'll be like, just whatever you want. For now, I got to kind of sneak in nighttime because it's like 100-some pages long. So, but this is a workbook that I developed over the years based on Beginning Tlingit by Richard Noah Dowenhauer, which you should have. Like as a student of Tlingit, you should have this text because all this good stuff in the introduction is wonderful, talking about philosophies of learning Tlingit, teaching Tlingit, working in the language. And then there's wonderful stuff in the footnotes to the different chapters where it starts to get into a grammatical discussion. And if you ever have questions of grammar and structure, just let me know. We're going to get to a round of introductions again, but first we're going to just sort of review options for giving an introduction in Tlingit. And we'll talk about an introduction in Tlingit. So first things first, I'm going to share this screen somewhere. Hold on.
Where's the camera?
The camera's right there.
Oh.
So we have a camera. Those for you, for those of you joining us today, we record these sessions. As long as you're okay with being recorded, you should know this will last forever. People will learn straight from your mouth how to speak Tlingit. I think it's awesome. Then I'll bring them next week. I got model releases for you, so you can sign them and say it's okay. And I think it's really important because if people want to access the Tlingit language, they have access to it. You know, it's just right there. And as you learn, other folks learn, and there's nothing wrong with being wrong, right? And so some of the things we remember because we have folks who are online joining us is a set of microphones right there, but the microphones you got to treat like, I work with elders a lot, and you can't talk to your elders. You know, they're not going to be able to hear me. So it's good for those who are listening to us to speak a little bit louder than you might usually, and it's usually good practice. One of the things we generally do, if you listen to the way that we talk in here, it's different than the way that elders talk out in the community. A lot of the sounds are more subtle from the fluent speaker, and we exaggerate here so you can get used to making these sounds. But one of your goals should be to sort of taper it down as you get more comfortable in the future. And just listen to speakers who are your favorite speakers or who are from your region, especially if there's any dialect things going on. Really, you can learn Tlingit. Because I've heard people who would say, well, we speak a different dialect, so I don't want to learn from so-and-so. And I really think that's the wrong approach. I think there's a lot of universal things in Tlingit, and the things that differ you can learn. You can figure those things out, whether it's a pronunciation thing, a word thing, you use this phrase instead of that phrase, we've got different names for different animals. Those things can be learned. But it's better than, I just can't see the reason for not just doing it. So anyways, let me see if this will work. If you have questions, just shout it out. We'll try this screen, I guess. Okay. So here I am stalking people. We go to tlingitlanguage.com. That brings us to this blog. You guys online, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a blog for Tlingit learners. It's got an introduction there, which you should read at some point. It's got information about the Tlingit language. This just tells you language family stuff. It's good to just check it out. It's got some philosophies on learning Tlingit. Under Learning Tlingit, you'll see Beginning Tlingit. Those are all the classes that we ran last year. Intermediate Tlingit, these are all the classes we'll run this year. I try to keep this stuff up to date. I mean, ideally, you come here and you'll see the handouts for the day, and then you'll see there'll be a thing to watch the class. You know, eventually there'll be a little link that says watch the class. So if you miss a class, or if you want to review what we were doing, or if you wanted to share it with somebody, you can always send them to this link. Go there. These are the main resources that we're going to use this semester. Here's the Beginning Tlingit workbook. There's a text I've been working on called Kausaneh Hayuchatangi. This is a couple of texts from Zeosh, James Crippen, which we'll get to a little bit later in the semester. And then these are two from Kaki Shabu, Carrie Eggleston, which we'll also talk about later in the semester. And there's this whole wealth of stuff out there for you to read on Tlingit. You'll never run out of stuff to get confused with and have fun. And then these will stay here on the top, and then the classes will be listed with the most recent one on the top. If you want to look at what we did with Tlingit linguistics, that's there. We're running a class this semester, Tlingit oral literature. We have a goal of moving entirely into Tlingit by about after 1 month of class. And so it should be a lot of fun. Under resources, if you go to dictionary, there's a new dictionary project I've been working on, which you can download the latest version here. And it says web, so if you want to view it on a computer or sometimes a tablet, but usually a computer's best. If you want to view it on a tablet or your phone, I would actually recommend the print one, because what the web one does is it's like looking at an open book. So you'll always be looking at 2 pages instead of 1. So the print one will give you 1 page at a time, which usually works better for a tablet, which is sort of book page shaped, I guess.
Oh, so there's a tablet version, like mobile?
It just says print, but that's the one that I would use. I guess I should put print and mobile on.
Okay, and we're able to like download the whole book from there.
Download anything that's on there, you can download. Oh. There's probably some stuff on here that people might get upset about. So don't tell the people who own the books, even though we're recording this right now. Under prints and web, this is most of the things I think that are out there for language students. Zeosh had this idea of just scanning everything and making it available. And as students, my interaction with students is, as people shift more towards smartphones and tablets and things like that, it's handy to have all this stuff with you, because I'll be working with people and we're trying to think of the word, and you don't know every word in English, so you don't know, people don't know every word in Tlingit, so it's really helpful to have that, and you can navigate pretty quickly in the electronic versions with the table of contents built into it. So here's, again, our workbook. This is one of the main things we'll be working off of. This is the sound practice stuff. There's a little slideshow and handouts here, but it's all built into this workbook. The dictionary of Tlingit you should absolutely have. The Tlingit verb dictionary you should absolutely have. It's out of print now, but we got a box of them over in the corner. It'll probably never be printed again because it's going to all be updated. The way that the document verbs in there have changed a little bit over the years, and so we're just trying to keep it up to date. The Interior Tlingit Dictionary is the most comprehensive noun dictionary that exists. There's a lot of things in there that aren't in other texts. And same with the verb dictionary. There's things that I found in there like Indian cheese and hockey that weren't in other texts. So,
Oh,
weather cards, and then there's, this is a section from the place name book. It's scanned, and it just has the place names. It doesn't have all the explanation text in between, but it's super handy to have if you're trying to remember a name of a place. We were just visiting with Nora Downhour and a couple other speakers, and they were trying to remember the name of Taku Harbor. So I just pulled out my phone. And then these are structured by beginning materials, intermediate materials, and then advanced materials. So we've got, again, Hausinechio Chatangi. We're going to switch over to this book once we've gone through our beginning Tlingit review. It was based on intermediate Tlingit, and this is a draft document that Richard Downhour had been working on, and Carrie Eccleston. This is a website, 575 Tlingit verbs. It's amazing. It has all these different verb conjugations for you, and the goal is by the end of the year is you'll be able to look at websites like this, and you'll be able to conjugate those verbs yourself. And once you get the basic framework of the verb, you'll be able to use it on your own with, I think, really good accuracy. And this is her project has continued. She's added a couple hundred more verbs at least, and that's on here. It's on the Alaska Native Knowledge Network. Some documents by James Crippen, which we'll talk about. A couple of substantial texts by Richard and Nora Downhour. And then we get into the advanced stuff, some verb mode tables, the thesis and accompanying verb paradigms from Carrie Eccleston, Tlingitology seminar, which you can just follow your brain. It's really fun to get into the intricacies of Tlingit. Tlingit glossing guide, relative clauses. And these are all really advanced stuff, but if you just want to learn more and more about Tlingit, you should be reading these. I recommend the Tlingit stem list and Tlingit verbs with notes by Jeff Lear. There's a ton of verbs that are in these two that are not in other texts. And it's really comprehensive. And the stem, as we get into how verb roots work, this one is really handy to have because you can look them up fast. And then there's a variety of other things here which are kind of works in progress or guides to other works, additional materials. This is the clan map that sometimes you see the poster of. There's an electronic version of it. And the other day we went to Saxman, and when we went to Saxman, I got to the Tlingit map, and I was just writing down which clans are there, so I know who to talk to when we get there. Right? If you're going to make a public statement, then you want to know who you should be addressing, and we'll get to that when we get to the introduction. When you introduce what types of things should you say, and it should always be something of substance. So we'll get to introductions here in a minute. We've got some new faces tonight, which is awesome. And then the other things on this, also under resources, there's posters. So you can hang these on your wall and take down your pictures of whoever your favorite movie star or rock star wants on your wall. But you put this stuff on your wall. Classifiers, posters about that, verbal structure. That one, this one needs to be updated. Don't put that on your wall. Don't print that. You print the other ones. Don't print that one. I gotta fix that one. Okay. Dang it. And we'll talk about how these things work. These are just ways to visualize Tlingit grammar and structure. And I think if you are especially working on developing a classroom or a space where the language is going to be, then these are important things to have. Anywhere in the world, there's rarely a place where the Tlingit language just exists. And so until we build that back up, we are in charge of manufacturing those spaces. And those should be the spaces where we spend the most amount of time. Those should be spaces that we are committed to creating the language in that space, and at least as an equal player. And so we do a lot of this in our house. And these, if you click on them, I think you get a larger version And I think you can click one more time and it gives you the full-size version, which is, I think, an 11 by 17 poster. Also, there's audio here. This is what this thing should look like. It doesn't always look like this. These are recordings of fluent speakers. In some cases, I have the text to it. A lot of these are stories or narratives. Some of them are conversations. This is a giant octopus. It's amazing. There's conversations here. They talk about, eventually they get to, well, they talk about women's work and a family, and then they get to talking about being pregnant and having babies and carrying babies, and it was fascinating. It was a challenge to get people to talk about certain things. These are amazing, and you can click here and it'll play, or you can click the little arrow and it should download. So you can put them on your phone. You can create a playlist of Tlingits, and it's your job to surround yourself with the language. So you should be studying the language every single day, and sometimes that means looking at the inner components of the language. Sometimes this means just practicing things that you were trying to memorize, and then other times it just means sitting there and listening. Right? So as a child learns language, the child doesn't always say, well, I want to pick what I learn. So sometimes you just need to immerse yourself around these things. And if you picked one or two recordings, especially if you knew basically what it's about, if you know the cutscene story, then you can just listen to it over and over. And a lot of language learning is, there's the surface stuff where you're physically doing things and you're like, okay, I'm going to learn these things, and then I'm going to learn these things, and I'm going to try to put these together. But I think the thing that binds it together and that builds these roots is just surrounding yourself with the language. And especially if it's language that is kind of inaccessible to you in a way, but maybe as close. And then if that's around you all the time, then your brain fills in a lot of those gaps for you. And your subconscious begins to sort of recognize how Tlingit functions. And this one hasn't been updated very long, or in a long time, but here's some videos as well. There's a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I was curious. So this actually has a few stories on it?
Mm-hmm. Really?
Oh, okay.
It's got a bunch of stories.
Okay, is that with written or audio, or is it just in these files?
Some of them have subtitles on the videos. Some of them I have text for. I think what I should probably do is go through this audio part and just put a little link near them if there's a text version of them.
Okay, so they're just like in the, or they're just in the files and not categorized as.
It's just the audio. It's all in Tlingit. It's all in Tlingit. There might be like a little bit of jibber jabber.
I was seeing if there was a link. I was seeing if there was a link on there for just stories, whether it's in written or.
Well, these are mixed, but like.
Okay.
This is a migration story, a mosquito story. This is Salmon Boy, they call him, Basket Bay. It's talking about learning our language. So it's kind of mixed, I guess, but once you start to, one thing you could do is go through and look up some of these and figure out what the words mean.
These are downloadable.
Yeah, and you can download them. So if you've got limited data, I haven't figured out how to download the videos yet. We got a grant recently, and we're gonna build like these little listening stations here where you can come and download stuff.
Oh, there's like one trick you can do with that. It's unorthodox, but normally YouTube downloaders can actually download certain videos from other sites.
Yeah, like if you use the browser Firefox, there's an add-on download helper. You can download straight from YouTube.
And Google, it's got its own little like downloading files for it.
Yeah. Download, take it. That's what we made them. That's what I made them for. And I told the speakers what I was going to do. That's cool. Let's see. Okay, so going on, there's some games. There's some phrases here. There's a whole section on verbs, because verbs, that's the key. That's the magic, right? I mean, you can spend your whole life learning more and more nouns, but you're just learning, the names for all these things. You got to learn how to talk about them. You got to learn how to talk about what things are doing. there's a tab here called Raven Book, and this is a book that a group of us are currently working on now. So these are all Raven stories, and there's like over 50 of them. And then there's some in English too, if English is your thing, whatever. There's a few of them. But they're amazing stories, and they're fantastic storytellers. Robert Zuboff is amazing.
Has an awesome voice.
Yeah, he's got, and these are just amazing storytellers. And if you know some of these stories too, like Raven and the Whale and Raven and Water, you download those and just listen to them, listen to them, listen to them. And I think some of the things as we start getting into how do you use verbs and use the language is you start practicing telling stories. And you start with like little, simple, cheesy stories, and then you build up to Raven stories, and then you move on to these bigger, epic sort of tales. There's a section on place names. So here's, we're working on a place name map here at UAS. It's probably going to migrate to a different system. So the idea was to have, like you can click on this link from your phone, and you can see where you are in relation to place names around you. It doesn't like pronounce them or anything, but this one does the Hoot Jishkat storyboard that was done in Haynes. And the Tonka River place names, that one does as well. And we have Kaksatunjin here, which is, I give you guys insider scoop. We haven't done sound practice yet, but everyone say Kaksatunjin. Oh wait, let me get my Kaksatunjin. 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 So in between the Mendenhall Valley and the Lemon Creek Valley, there's a mountain right in between them. And that's the name of that mountain, Kaksatunjin. So Kach means really or very. Satan means for some stick-like object to be laying at rest. And then jin means hand. So it means a hand that's really laying there. And there's a sort of cultural innuendo meaning, which is he doesn't play with himself. And so it has these two meanings, and my uncle Johnny used to really laugh about that name. And that's like the first official name that we use that's Tlingit and uses diacritical markers. And it was put on the mountain this spring, I think, was officially accepted. And I was getting all these calls from these news agencies, and they said, "What does it mean?" I said, "Well, it means hands at rest." And they said, "Does it mean anything else?" Nope. That's when that stopped letting us name out. There's also a forum on here, so it's pretty easy, I think, to register for this thing. If you have any problems, just let me know. My preference, if you're in the middle, if we're in class, just talk about it. But if you're sitting there and it's late at night, and you go, I have a question about the Tlingit classifier. What is, when you say, Hastu itch, what is the itch part? You can ask it here, and then I'll answer it here. I'll answer it in other places. But the idea was, what if somebody has the same question, and then we start building this, that's what a forum is for. They use them a lot for software and problem solving, so you can come here and see if anybody has asked a question. It hasn't quite caught on yet. There's a whole bunch of different categories here. I'm hoping we'll get more people using it. And the last one, here's some just narrative stuff on language revitalization. For now, we're going to switch back to stop screen sharing. Here was a switch. Oh, the sun is apparently shining directly onto the camera. How nice is it? So one of those links that we looked at was the beginning Tlingit workbook, and we're going to use that now. So if you're online, you should go there and download it if you haven't already. If you have it here in the room, you should look at it, or it'll be on the screen. We'll screen share it with those of you so you don't have to look at the blinding sun. So this, we're going to jump ahead, actually, and then we'll come back, because I want us to do a round of introductions Before we do introductions, we should talk about how to do introductions. So as we think about who we are, we think about the types of things we say when we introduce ourselves. One thing, there's two things that I noticed that I just try to sort of address and not make people feel bad, but just say these are things to be conscious of. One is if you're asked to speak in public and you know Tlingit, once you get to the point where you know how to use the language, when you stand up to speak, you should say something of substance. You should know who you're going to address, and you should know what kinds of things to say. And those are two big questions, two big topics, is what to say, who to address. Generally, when you're doing, if it's in public, you should be addressing your clan opposites. You should not be talking about yourself. Those are two really good guidelines to start with. The third is, what is the context? If it's a funeral, you have two jobs. One would either, and it's an either or thing. Your job is to either comfort a clan who just lost somebody, or to thank the people who comforted that clan. Right? So if you're on the Raven side and the person who has passed away is on the Eagle side, you should speak to that clan. You should speak to their clan almost exclusively. You should certainly acknowledge the other Eagle clans that are there. Your job is just to give them words of comfort. If you are a Raven and that person was a Raven, you should be thanking the Eagles for helping that clan. If it's your clan, then that's the main thing that you do. And then thank people for coming. But if you're a Raven clan and it's a different Raven clan, you thank those Eagles and then you offer a little bit of strength to that clan, but not as much as you would for 45%. And we'll get into more of that stuff, the cultural sort of side of how the language works. But if you're invited to speak at like a graduation, or if you're invited to speak at a welcome address for UAS, or for whatever, then you should just have a few things that you do. But typically your introduction is not part of a public speech. You should know how to introduce yourself. Sometimes people want that. They say the first thing we'll do is we'll just introduce ourselves. And there are short versions and there are long versions. The short version is, this is my name, this is my clan. That's the short version, right? If they say, let's keep it short, that's what you do. Maybe throw father's clan in, maybe throw the region you're from. Maybe. That's about it. The long version, you're going to say, this is my name, this is my English name, this is my clan, this is my father's clan, this is my grandparents' clan, this is where we're from, this is where my house is. So those are basically the things. And you could go, if you're really... And some of this, when you use an introduction, is going to be when you're having a conversation with someone, they want to know who you are, and you want to know who they are. And these are the contexts that I find them most useful. So I've got like an introduction cheat sheet, which maybe I'll send out to everyone. We're not going to use that, but we'll just go straight to the ones that are on. So looking on this thing, I just drew a box. So we're right down here. Everybody, just repeat after me. We'll do these one word at a time. Yay. 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 Khat. 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 Do a sock. 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 Ye khat 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 do a sock. So the couple things we keep in mind is that the language has tones in it. So we see it goes high, low, and then it ends high. Ye khat do a sock. And it's good to just have as you continue to make yourself familiar with how tones work in Tlingit, to just really listen to them. Like when you're listening to recorded Tlingit, just listen for those tones. Because there's tone and there's stress, and those are two different things. But the tone is, high or low. The other thing is, if you have a hard time with tones, use like your hand going up, your finger going, just something to help your brain out with moving from a language that doesn't care about tone to a language that has to. The other thing is that there's this KW business at the end. So instead of going sock, it goes sock. You get this little breath of air, and your lips are pursed as if you were going to whistle. All right. Yechatu wasak.
Yechatu wasak.
Yechatu wasak.
Yechatu wasak.
Yechatu wasak.
Yechatu wasak.
The other thing we always keep in mind, long vowels, short vowels. Keep the short, short, the long, long. Because it's something you have to pay attention to over time. Because there are certain words that like verbs, the verb stem will go from long to short. And it depends on the verb mode. And then there's certain ones that are just interchangeable. Like when we say ya, you could say ya or ya. It doesn't matter. They're the same. Okay. So there's your name. That's how you'd say it. So you'd say your name first, and then Yechatu Wasaq. And so that's the order. Your name, Yechatu Wasaq. Another way that you can say your name is up here in the top left. And this is just a slightly different way. So when you say Yechatu Wasaq, and people don't translate it literally, but you're saying, people call me this. Right? So if I say, people call me Khune. That's the literal interpretation of how that sentence is put together. And it's important to remember that that's how it works, and we'll talk about why when we get up to this point in our review. So the second way is you could say, Aya akhsayi. Aya akhsayi. Aya akhsayi.
Aya akhsayi.
Aya akhsayi.
Aya akhsayi.
Aya akhsayi.
Aya akhsayi.
Aya akhsayi.
Aya akhsayi.
So this is just saying, this is what my name is. And when you say akhsayi, so sa is a name. Right? As a verb root, it means to call out to somebody or to name somebody something. This could also be a kinship term. Like if there's somebody sitting right next to me, and their Tlingit name was Khune, I could call them Akhsani. You're my namesake. So it can also mean namesake. So in the context of a larger introduction, you might say, I could say, Khune yechatu wasaq. Fenton Jacobs yetu wasaq nakhsayi. Lekakhinach. My name is Khune. Fenton Jacobs is my namesake. He carried the name before me, and that was his name in English. And there's a way to say a name of somebody to signal that they're deceased. And we'll get to that as well. We just want to work on the personal stuff. So the next thing that you think about is whether you're raven sign or eagle sign. If you go inland, crow or wolf. So we'll start on the coast with the ravens. We'll just do we'll do it without the moiety first. Nach. Chat. Sati. Nach. Chat. Sati. Nach. Chat. Sati. Nach. Chatsati. So it's up to you if you want to like put a actual break in between nach and chat, but I don't think there's a need to. You just sort of let that thing ring in your throat. Nach chatzati. For me, it doesn't fully stop. It just sort of slows down a little bit and then picks right back up. So we'll do the raven first. Yesh nach chatzati.
Yesh nach chatzati.
Yesh nach chatzati.
Yesh nach chatzati.
And that would be crow as well. It's interpreted as crow in the inland. The word itself means raven. We've got a different word for crow, but there's some people who refer to themselves as crow people on the coast as well. It was probably wolf and crow at one point, or maybe wolf and raven at one point, and then it switched to eagle and raven. So switching to the eagle. Ak nach chatzati.
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 The wolf. Quch nach chatzati.
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 So my preference in sort of getting some sort of language fluency is to say, a lot of times I wouldn't say raven or eagle, but if you get to if you're thinking maybe they're not sure what clan, if somebody says tsek nach adi, do you know if that's an eagle or a raven? Eagle. If somebody says Quad, do you know if that's a raven or an eagle? If someone says Kukitan, is that a raven or an eagle? That's a raven. What if they say Kukitan? So sometimes it's good to specify right up front. But if you're in your homeland and you're given an introduction, you might not have to say raven or eagle. But if you do, the way I would structure this is I'd say Yesh nach chatzati shukach adi. Like I wouldn't have to say ayachat or chatzati again. So as in the context of an introduction, once you start this whole thing, everybody knows you're talking about yourself. So the one thing you don't have to do is put ayachat after everything, which is something that it just happens because it's easy to remember. Ayachat, and that means I am, right? But it can get problematic if you were to say like ayachat, like I am Skagway, right? Because I'm not Skagway. I was born there. And it's like people don't live on me, and cruise ships don't dock on me. And it's just, for a lot of phone speakers, it's a little bit bothersome for them to hear ayachat, ayachat, ayachat. So following that, you could say, if you want to recognize your father's clan, it's entirely up to you in the context of a larger introduction. You would say their clan, like Kagwantan, and then Yeti. So the Yeti would come after that clan to recognize your father's people, to recognize any parents that you haven't already talked about. You could say Dechchan. For example, if your mother is Tukachadi, your father's Kagwantan. But if your mother's father is Daktawedi and you want to recognize them, then you could say Daktawedi Dechchan. And again, you don't have to say Ayachet because we already know. Okay, the last one we'll do, and then we'll switch gears and we'll actually introduce ourselves again. It's the clan house. You don't have to do the big introduction. You can do whatever level you want to and however much your little Tlingit you want to. So talking about a clan house. So in the inland, there's not as many clan houses, but a lot of times the house is important as well. And it's interesting because wherever your name comes from, that's what house you belong to. So usually the names are, and then it could get a little interesting where like you're given a name to reconnect Angoon and Carcross, and if that's the name that you're particularly using, then technically you should probably say you're from that house. And it could be really interesting because you could be born, you know, in Tokyo, but you're still from this particular house in Chilku or wherever. And if you're unsure, then you don't use this part, right? And that's fine. And there's two ways. So we could say, what house? What house we use?
Frog raven.
Okay. So everybody say, Hichi hit. Hichi hit. Hichi hit.
Hichi hit.
Hichi hit.
Hichi hit.
Yedu wasag.
Yedu wasag.
Hana kahiti.
Hana kahiti.
Hichi hit.
Hichi hit.
Yedu wasag.
Yedu wasag.
Hana kahiti.
Hana kahiti.
Hichi hit.
Hichi hit.
Ayah.
Aya.
Hana kahiti.
Hana kahiti.
So this, we follow a lot of these sort of fill-in-the-blank type of structures, especially in the beginning Tlingit. And once we get into the intermediate stuff, we'll see we're just going to throw these huge lists at you and tell you how to sort of put these big lists together and put them to use. But for now, switch gears. Let's talk about who we are. Ashtakat Yuhan, Ganshish Hati Arti. Hestasayanach Atlatin Hayuchatungi. Achawetsu Hadat Ayabushkanach Utuda Ati. Yewe Hatuasatu Hatunach Ayakunacha Kawada Hayuchatungi. Ya Achtundatani Dat Away Kach the Fuhin. Ye do a sagu Atwe Canada Yihin. Kach the Fu. Ye Wehatuasuku Aka Kayati. Yitukayati Hayuchatangitin. One Kanins Chow Chuya Kunach Akawa Chakaya Hayuchatungi. Ya Kakati Yatakwa Ach Chuya Achatwasku Yahin Yach Kat Yasingi Yuchatangi the cut that was school ya the cut 18 kach away. Ya away ach tag the Hedach Aqua Kunach Kanas Zini to Howe Hayuchatangi. Richish. Thanks for coming. We always just want to be stronger inside, stronger with this language. We want the language to be stronger. It's like this. It's a relationship. It's a two-sided relationship. I read this book about these people in Australia, and they said, and they were talking to this elder, and he said, the people over there living in the city, they're sick with alcohol and diabetes and suicide. It's because they're lonely for the land. And the land here has drought. And it's not the same as it used to be because the land is lonely for the people. So it's a relationship like that where it's just totally inseparable of language and people. But if you separate it, they both just die. And so we're preventing that. We're just fixing it. We're just coming together. And sometimes it seems like the language just really stacks up. I was in a retreat one time and someone said, I feel like everything I know is like the water in this glass. And everything I don't know about Tlingit is like the ocean. And so sometimes it seems daunting, but you just keep plugging along, and then pretty soon the things you hear, you begin to comprehend. And then pretty soon you're able to just keep saying more and more, but that really comes with just doing that on a daily basis and putting it together and hanging out with people who do the same thing. And when you see them engage in the language, there's elders living in this community, it's probably 30 of them maybe that speak the language, 20. Go see them, spend time, figure out what you can do to make their lives better. And part of it is going to be speaking the language. A lot of people I speak to, they just say, I'm lonely, I got nobody to talk to. I say that quite a bit. So that was kind of bigger than I expected it to be, but we'll go around the room, just do quick introductions, and we'll take a break. No pressure.
Ka kia yuhatu sok le ka hina crystal world. Yesh ayachat shuka hadi. Yesh hit tishkat kwan. I'm trying not to say ayachat.
Okay.
Shangupe di Qulnana nakhatsati.
Okay. Cheesh.
Rantabat hier dumasak. Shooting aya aksai. Use not hesitate. Yeni Ishitan Yadi, Ishkitan, Bachan, and I'm going to have to learn Lithuanian of Daganuk City.
Okay. Cheesh.
Nishik, you cut do yourself. Tuknakari, I cut. Yahid, Ishitan Yadi.
Okay. Cheesh. And you can say it or you want.
Okay. Hi. Sorry, I don't know the language.
Sorry.
I'm Kaylee Saragosa. I'm an exchange student from Hawaii.
Do you know Hawaiian?
A little bit. I'm not fluent, so I could talk in Hawaiian. Okay. Aloha ayahi. Vai kai iki. Ao. Wait, no. Hele ao I vai kai iki. Hele ao I moku ke ave o Hawaii. I don't know much about
My
it.
kai, aloha means.
Should I explain what that meant?
Yeah.
Okay. I said, good evening. I am from the Ahupua'a Waiakahikai Iki, which is now called like Ainaloa area, which is in the Puna district of the Big Island in Hawaii. And I just came here to learn more about this culture because there's a lot of similarities, but I'm learning there's a lot of differences too.
Yeah. Excellent.
Kuch aya achsai kua tleka chenach jasmine yuchat duasak chak nach chatsati chukanegi chak het ayaha nakahedi tak den tan dachanuchu helican dach. Hooch. Do you know, Costine was just showing me the other day a list of like place names, but I don't know which one it was from, and it had like this little map, and it had the Huna area in it, and then it had the Pelican area. So I like,
I'll be right up there.
do you know which link it would be under?
For that particular map?
Yeah, or
Huna, the Huna
there was
tribe.
several of them though. Like
Okay.
it was in a bigger document. Like a list, like the ones that you're talking about?
Well, that one is up there, and I think you have it, right? So
Is it this one?
yeah, it's Hashiku.
Hasani Sashi.
Yeah.
Because she was talking to me, and I was like, oh, I could be saying this. Not just
Like
pelican, but I
pelican,
could
right?
say, yeah.
There's that big map that's up by the Glacier View that has a bunch of points.
Yeah.
And it's specifically Glacier Bay. I don't
So
know if it has Kunga.
I'll do another screen share real quick just so that the gang can see this. So this is the book by Tom Fortin, published by Sea Alaska Heritage Institute, and they just wrote like this monstrous grant to try and do some other project, which could involve UAS language students. But for now, there's the print version, and then there's the scanned version. So if we did a search for pelican,
That's what she's showing me. Sheesh.
Okay, sorry, I had to just count you took it. Okay, go around. Okay.
Uch Ganch, Yuchet Dosak, Yanyedi, Shanguk Yedi Yadi. Finish.
Okay.
Inupiaq Chinach Sunak Yuchat Duasak, Clay Pag Chinach David Russell Jensen. Utskan kan Inupiaq Ayachat. Utskan Gishbadwadach Nachat City. Nipu Yukiridach Ginadoix Kwan. Mashna Kat Nachtu. My Inupiaq name is Sumik. My English name is David Russell Jensen. Simshian in Inupiaq. And Simshian Kilrail Gishbudwada from the House of Nislu in the Ginadoix territory. And from New Metlakatla, Alaska.
Okay.
Nawea ayach sai Austin Tagavan Lakach Banga Kukit Yebu Sakranakahidi Tuck Dington Yedi Uch
Okay. Kuwuchi Koha.
Kuwch aya achsayi, Fleitcha chinach, Alison Bremner ye chat duasak, Gnech kwan na chatsiti ye tisk hit ye duasak ha nakahidi. Gnashish.
Yakewa, Chief. Stukaha, Deepoha.
Steguha aya achsayi, Gleka enach, Sean McDougall ye chatto assault, Yesh nach city deshi ton, Dakluedi yadi, Deshu hip yedu ha nakahidi, Tasi ye chat yati. Cheese.
Yakewa, Johan, Chief. Khatsu ideke kwani kadusa ayakhat, Khone aya aksayi, Kadu ani kaudenu. Johan, Detka Chinach, Khone aya, Yachadusa. Kathaktua Ashku, Chakut Sayi, Kadu ani kaudenu. Ejak, Dekina, Chinach, Etwasa. Detka Chinach Aksayi, Kathaktua Ashku, Achti Chinach. Shukachati ayachatsu, Khan ayachkut, Khan Yeshit Yeduasa, Hanakahiti. Ya Akladu Tlakoa, Heidelberg, Ye Wutien, ya de kina awe uhan su. Ach ish has nach awe yubik kasami awe uhan. Yik ach tu yik yuch satini kunach. Ach ish has awe kagwantan. Ach chief ko has ayedak kawedi. Yik ben chish. Yida gachtul sa chayegu gink. Aqa ach tosagu. What bush kagachtul shaat. Adat haslingi dilchatangish tu. Dasa yisiku. We'll take a break, and it'll be a short break, 6 minutes, and then we'll talk about what do you know, what have you been studying, so we can just sort of kind of, I had an idea of a pretest, well, we're probably not going to do a pretest. Let's do a verbal pretest. And you'll tell me what you know and what you need. That'll be fun. And we'll get started. 6 minutes.
Sarah was late. I was like, until 6. I was like, oh, maybe. Yeah. Like I worked from 9 to 12, and then they put me like 5 to 6. So I'm just like there for an hour. I was like, okay. No, I think he like works like in the morning, so like early. Because like he gets in like earlier than I do, and I start work at 9. I swear he's there like 8:30. And then like I can't imagine him staying until 8 p.m. when they close. Like, oh my god. You must get paid well if you do that.
Yeah.
What
so
time is the stuff on Friday?
So yeah, tomorrow, I start work in the summer at 11.
or sample,
Totally
but I
won't be
can't
there.
remember it.
We're basically gonna start up on
Take,
things. But
take,
it's 1 to
she
2
said,
is food.
I can't remember,
And then she has
but I
to
remember she said in English,
And we'll have
it was
or
shoes that,
2 boots,
that the
one
wind
for the
blows.
food chain and then one
Oh,
for.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you wanna like help out there or help clean in the center or whatever, we're gonna try and have that out already.
Okay, because all the kids who were on like that bus, I don't know if you heard
Oh,
last
I
Saturday or Sunday, there was a bus up to the tram and they gave us all.
I don't think
Oh,
it sounds
yeah,
certain
I went,
people.
Yeah. Did you go up that
I
day?
didn't.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We all did too, and they were saying, oh, we might go tomorrow, and then I'm like, wait, I have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow, so I'm thinking about like,
Only took you.
because I wanted to go campus kickoff, but it's like, is that just like the club's booth? Is that what it is?
There's a lot of stuff that happens. Send it out, that's right yet.
Well, really,
First
I think
50
you
students
still
are
need to
limited
talk
to
to
get free t-shirts,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of things for clubs, but also the organization. So it's just like a lot of information.
Okay, because I didn't want to go to that, and we have to be back by like 5 because we have a
An
dinner
executive order.
exchange student we're going to for under.
Really?
No.
Oh, right.
So I'm just like, oh my gosh, should I go tomorrow? Thinking about it, I'm like, kind of asking myself, like, hey, did you forget about all this stuff too? Because they're all gonna catch the bus, and I'm just like,
If you go to,
well, I could just stay here because I actually did a lot of stuff I should probably be just staying.
Yeah, no pressure.
And I went to the tram before, so I'm not like, oh my god, I must go. And I went on a good day too, so I know how it should be.
Yeah.
It must
So
be
no
hot.
pressure though, if like you end up coming and then you're not.
Do we have a vision here?
And they're like, yeah, have a cheap bus, and you're at the tram, then, oh, it's like, yeah.
I kind of wanted to go to the fair because it's like, I feel like that's where everything's gonna be and I'll know
And you should
everything.
sign up for things and stuff, yeah, get information.
Yeah.
You could remind the exchange students, be like, hey, there's a lot of things
Yeah.
going on, maybe we should.
Kind of just all like, oh,
How many other exchange students are there?
like over 10. I think there's a good amount. Really good internationals.
Yeah.
Love their accents. Yes, I'll talk to you.
Is there a Facebook page for like exchange?
There's an exchange, like
Actually,
Facebook
post
thing, but
Okay, so
like we all just talk in our own like message group. But I mean, there is a page actually on Facebook which I only added yesterday. I only found it yesterday. I was like, oh hey, there's a Facebook page. Okay, I should do that.
There's somebody.
Yeah, they kind of post, but not all the
So I
time.
don't know what it looks like. Actually, this take all over.
Yeah.
So if I,
No, I mean, yeah. Neither it's
I would say starting at 11. Just in case
Okay,
we're
yeah,
not
I finished
call
class
it.
at 1.
There's somebody like.
Yeah, I moved it close. I said class until 1. Just like, oh, no class.
Oh, that.
What math are you in?
Calculus 1.
Oh, what's the underline?
Yeah, I was just like worried somebody in my class is gonna come, and I'm like, I don't know what to do
Technically,
either.
I don't think you tell people in here. Or you're not supposed to, like, because, like,
Aw,
well, like, you can, but, like, there's, like, technicalities in
I
it. Which is
feel like
kind of
it
nice, because,
is.
like, you're learning it still, too. And you're,
so you should get an invitation
Yeah.
to the class.
They can tell me to join a study group.
I don't know what that invitation is.
I always study by myself, so we'll see how good I do on my own.
That's really cool, though. It's fun down there. They want me to do that.
In language.
When do I
You
get
should
to like
do
play
it,
access
man.
to the
Extra money. I don't know.
How do I do that?
I just got signed up for a whole bunch of other campus hours, so, like,
I gotta do
I'm, like,
hiring
spread
stuff.
thin, and, like, I
You
don't
should
know.
just tell them like, hey, if you want tutoring, just
And
Oh,
come to
do I
the
we'll
rural
have to fill out
center.
hiring paperwork? Or
Yeah,
2 for
but
1.
it's like, it's a direct hire thing, so it should be pretty straightforward.
Oh, yeah. Man.
And then once that's,
It's awesome.
I'm glad it's almost the weekend. Week 1 done.
I'll get that started.
Yeah, I have a lot of.
So yeah, so it should send
I'll be
you
back
an
until
invite.
Tuesday,
Wow, what are you doing?
I don't know what it looks
What do I
like.
do with-
She wants
I
to-
can't, for some reason, I can't invite.
And,
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna be so fun.
Is it actually in like Seattle City?
yeah, how do you do that? Do you just tell them, give this
I hope
person
it's not
access?
smoky there.
I
It
know.
expires because the last day I was there
Did I say
before I
one?
came up here,
If you're
it was
Susie
smoked
one.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
I could tell the difference in the air. And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh,
supposed to be like-
let's just see indoors.
Yeah.
Because for.
Yeah, right.
It'll still be cool though.
Yeah,
if
it's
I had, like,
electronic,
like,
we don't have
I do-
to
can do
go
this
in
and
and
go
like
to-
add.
I like
Yeah,
have
when's the
to
track
have-
Tuesday? So I think as long as you're
Yes,
logged
definitely
into
get
your
out
building
here.
pass
Yeah.
nodes,
Are you taking a
you
ship
should
or
get
a
some sort of
plane?
notification.
No.
And then,
That's probably actually better. 'cause you
yeah,
can
you're
kinda
using
click
Google
it.
Chrome, and that's the best browser for it.
It'll be good.
And then you'll just see.
rename all the buildings for people on there.
I don't think we could do that.
I want to.
Who did all these drawings? Or prints?
There's already one that has.
You want to test it.
Who actually? You know who did the art? Please. Of the. Who?
They were done in
Join
a
Hangout?
school district. Yeah, you should. You might get some feedback though, since we're in the same room. You gotta say.
Yeah, there's a lot of details and stuff in them.
You get to mute yourself.
Oh, hang up.
Welcome to the Wildlife Center.
When we first tried this, we had a student online, and then we had the phone and the computer going at the same time, and it was creating this weird loop like that. And then he started laughing, he had this kind of deep bellowing laugh, and then it was just, I was like, that's spooky. Mostly it's been fairly glitch-free, I think. And those of you online, if you ever have ideas on what makes this whole thing better, just let me know. One more minute.
Oh, I was like, am I missing something?
No, you got rid of
University
finance.
are you going back to?
Yeah.
University of
It's like,
well, you
carry on, yeah.
It's not. I love it. Like I actually do really like my home campus.
I'll be in Hilo in all of January.
In January?
I
I'm
lived
gonna be in
in
Hilo in January.
For like
For like a week only though.
Oh.
I gotta come back to school here.
I should be pretty good with Hawaiian by the time I come back.
Yeah, well you sound better than me already because I
Is
haven't
that
done
what
it in like
you-
4 years.
It's very fun. That's the way.
We have another student here.
Like Russ.
I actually
I'll
gotten a new
interview
year.
us because you're.
An invite, but on and all that. So anything that this time.
So they'll join us next time. So what's going on?
Well, figure it out. But yeah, like she can hear everything that's happening within the class and that. I think she said she was able to see me.
I see. So because there's people can watch this class but not actually be in the class, and that's just looking at it through YouTube. So what needs to happen is she and I got to become like in the Google circle, and then which I'm happy to do. I just need if she can add. Oh, I think I see it here. Hold on. Yeah.
Barbara Hawkins, I believe.
Let me see if I can invite her to this thing.
And we don't care what you think. Yeah, I have spam. Somebody bought me like 2 pieces of spam. I'm just like, yes. Can survive.
So if she looks on,
And I have a
did you get there by looking on my page?
Yes.
So if she looks on my page, she should be able to see it now and should be able to join.
This isn't even, I see.
You have to do it right.
Yeah, well, then.
For some reason, it sounds like
It doesn't have to be
specifically
right.
at
2 drinks to that, right? The fingernail,
I do that.
and then add salt if it actually gets too salty.
Oh.
These folks just
I
didn't
feel
know
like
how to
I
make
should know
rice.
that.
I'll tell you.
My grandma does that for like musubi's.
And how would it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so if she looks on my page, she should be able to just join the Hangout now. She goes right to my Google Plus page, which if you guys are ever lost or the invitation doesn't come for some reason, it should be plus.google.com/UAS-ANLS, Alaska Native Languages Studies. That's also the address on YouTube, youtube.com/UASANLS. If you want to watch the language videos, rewatch a class, or if you want to join into the class, for some reason the invitation didn't go out. I think what happens is if I'm in the conversation and then add somebody, I can't quite invite them in yet, but probably next time. So if she's watching, that you can't join just yet, but you should be able to if you go the kind of roundabout way and use the page. And just let me know, if you guys are having any problems. Again, like Google Chrome works best. You can certainly use whatever browser you want to, but there might be constant updates or something that it's asking from. And I don't work for Google. At least they're not paying me any money. Cut the check, Google. Make it happen. All right.
I'm sorry, what was the address again for live streaming?
So it would be, you can watch the live stream, like if you know somebody who wants to watch what we're doing, youtube.com/UASANLS.
Okay.
And that's also where you can go to find the YouTube channel for the language department here. And then to join the classes, plus.google.com/UASANLS. And I left Blackboard. Blackboard is test machine.
Oh, wow.
Not dealing with any compressed audio, although the audio is not always great. Sometimes when you're talking, it's cutting out a little bit. So we'll just keep an eye on it. Some distance students have used headsets. Sometimes it's been work. Sometimes it's work, but sometimes it feels bulky. We'll just keep an eye on it and see. I try to mute things on my end. Tuesday we'll have a little bit better setup. We've got the camera on this side and the TV on this side. So when you guys talk, we look this way. And when we talk to you, we look this way. So we're going to line it all up next time. And we'll be in a nice little Gaudon Tichi so you guys can see all of our faces more or less. Okay, so let's, we're going to have to go in the same order. Whoever wants to go first can go first. We'll go around from there. Tell me how you basically, give me the short version. How do you study Tlingit? What do you know and what do you need? How do you study Tlingit? What do you know? What do you need?
Okay, I studied Tlingit through before this I only was able to study through words, videos, and that project that just finished up like a year or two ago. Only considering since I've been gone for about 7 years. I only know pretty much, just the English version of most of the stories in Tlingit, as well as just here and there what I learned from Lionel James and his wife. And pretty much just the small aspects and there's certain small traditions, but I'm getting that huge gap in the language. To where I took basic Tlingit maybe 2 or 3 times, and pretty much that's what I'm hoping for here is just to get out of that like nouns of Tlingit, where I no longer need to say dasaya, that's away. What's this for this where I want to know it, I want to talk to people about it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's just nutshell right there.
Okay.
Because I actually want to do like kid stories and stuff for my daughter. She's growing.
How old?
She just turned a year last month.
Oh.
Yeah. I still need to get her adopted, or not adopted, but her mom adopted into a clan.
Oh.
That was also something that I'm hoping when I'm later on in here to actually figure it out.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Guys,
Okay. Should we go around like the sun, or do you want to just go randomly? Round like the sun.
How I study through the Downhowers books and relating it to other languages like Simshian and Chalkia. I like to find the connections between different languages and, because we're also interconnected. And what I need, probably just to keep going. Just keep going. Well,
I think, yeah. What do you know? Did you get that?
oh. I don't know.
That's good enough.
I just had something in my brain. Oh, I like to listen to recordings, and then I also really like reading the super in-depth linguistics stuff. I was reading a lot of those over the summer, and I like reading the stories, the Downhour book. And I can do basic some verb conjugation. I can figure out how to say some things. Like the stem changing stuff, and I don't know how that works at all.
Okay.
And yeah, that's fine.
Everything I know so far I've gotten from the beginning Tlingit course on YouTube, as well as all the good resources on tlingit.info. I have a recording of Harry Bremner telling some Yakutat history that I've been listening to over and over, and it's been fun. The first time I listened to it, I couldn't understand anything, and then I got Nusk, and from there I've been picking out other things. So I guess what I need is everything else. Looking forward to learning. So thank you.
Okay. Chish. Sukaha. Yitwa.
For what I know, a lot of world-based and it's recently teaching Tlingit at a high school here in North. So, it's something that I really want to learn and they're helping them with their language. So journey, and a lot of my passion comes from our singing and dancing and our songs, and I really look forward to increasing knowledge so I can pass that on and everyone here. And so, Ganosh Chief.
Yakecha. Chish. Yitwa.
I started learning Tlingit from my family and clan members. Just the basics, how to identify my family. And I've studied some basic conversation.
I really look forward to increasing knowledge so I can pass that on and everyone here.
It was a good speech. Yakecha.
Sorry, I didn't
No,
realize.
no. It was Barbara signed on, and I think if somebody watches the YouTube version, there's a little delay.
Yeah.
So I think she was still watching that one, but now she's live with us. We figured that component out, and so his speech was replayed. That was just teasing.
It does make it look cool. I'm sorry, I just had to check it out.
Oh?
I subscribed and then I just had to watch the video while it's live.
Oh, okay. And if you do that, just make sure that you're muted, or else you get the infinite loop again. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
I've learned a lot from my brothers, and when I was an intern with SHI, I did the graphic designs for the Tlingit language cards, so that helped me a lot. And then my younger brother Kyle, he's the Tlingit language teacher in Anchorage, so when I go to Anchorage, I learn with him and our youngest brother. And what I need from it is I'm learning my father's dance group, the Shungu Katie Thunderbirds. I know our songs, but I don't know what they mean. And so I can sing them from beginning to end, but I'm not too sure what I'm singing about, and I need to know if I'm going to continue to teach the future clan members of our songs. And also, I need to know the relation between language and art. Art is my main focus, and I think it's an important part of art, and I'm not sure I'm still finding that connection.
Chish.
Yeah.
I think I saw your cards in the computer drive in the SHI Snapper.
Oh, cool.
It's taking you around.
Yeah,
Cool.
they're
Crystal,
accessible
yeah.
online, and there's actually, you've probably seen it, there's interactive language games online that are animated by my brother. Like you can see the whale go by, and if you click on it, it's like, yay, it goes
There's the cheat. Yakushuka.
Yeah. Yeah.
How fun. Okay.
Yeah, the closest thing I got to that is like 6 Afghanis know how to say thank you in their name. Tlingit. That and how to say tuk.
Oh, yeah.
And a cow shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nishan.
yeah, whiskey. I still think they know that drink.
Available online? Or
Dasa?
your brother's games and that, are they available and able to be used?
On the Sealaska Heritage Institute website, they have links for language learning, and he did the graphics for the animation of some of the animations. You can go on there and you click on the animals that are animated, and it says, it translates it in Tlingit, and they're interactive. Like you can move the bird in the boat, out the boat, and it translates it.
And he does playing cards too, right?
I think the playing cards are on there as well. They should be.
So I guess
I haven't looked at their language link since they moved to their new website.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We'll investigate next week. Do a little scavenger hunt on the web. Okay. Trois.
What do I know? So my first year here at UAS, which is 3 years ago, it's my 4th year, I guess. Been here a long time. All of my friends were learning the language, and I watched, and it was very interesting. I know Spanish. When I lived in California, I learned Spanish, and I was able to read Don Quixote in Spanish and do a report on it. So I had this lofty goals of being able to do something similar in Tlingit. However, I've learned that what I know is there's a lot more to language, and it's really bad year for me last year. Being brought into a clan, being white, having all this talk about racism, and it was really difficult because I sought help from instructors and got yelled at, and I've had to fight my own battle on another side. And so this summer was one of those summers where I had to look inside my heart and my soul and figure out what the hell am I doing? If I don't belong here, if I don't belong there. And this language is so powerful, though, that it's, what I know is that it's worth, I didn't come to class on Tuesday, and I showed up late today, but here I am, because I need to learn more. And on the flip side, I need help because I'm also on these committees and stuff, and I'm helping draft ordinances for the city. And so the rate of law going faster than mine. But with all of the emotional stuff, it was really a good summer for me because I realized I know who I am, and I don't care if people say these cruel things to me that were said, like just speculation, like, oh, we're just supposed to accept you because you were brought in, you were adopted by someone somewhere, stuff like that, and just really crappy things. And it's like, I don't know, I'm asking you, this is new to me, and the disrespect. So I'm hoping that I see these posts on Facebook, and it's 10 things that white teachers need to learn how to do, things like that. And I look and I'm like, I've done 3 of those, and nobody even acknowledges that because it's just all this what we're doing wrong as colonists and all of this stuff, and it hurts. It really hurts. But on the flip side, I took my vacation with my husband to Lapwai, Idaho, and that was I didn't get this language warrior thing. I didn't understand what you guys are talking about. I just didn't get it. But when I was in Lapwai, I felt for the first time like a language warrior because I had to. I was different, and it's the same. There's a lot of things, and it gave me direction for myself. And so it's really hard because, like I said, to have mentors and colleagues and friends that I thought say such shitty things to me. So yeah, I just need people to be aware that that's going on. And it's not reverse racism. It's just new ground. And so I'm here. I'm trying to be. I was going to cry, but some things never change. But here I am because there's a lot of things there's just little things I'm working on, and they seem so tiny. Just correcting spelling on things, but they're not. I know that all of these tiny little things are going to add up to big things. it's gonna be better. And I think I'm on the same path as everybody else, so. But, yeah. I'm stronger than I was at the end of the semester. And I looked around at my house and my life, and I have one doll, and this is kind of the funny thing. I have one doll, one toy from my grandmother, one thing, and it's this, like, it's not a Barbie doll, and it's this thing that she gave to me, and it's something I've had, and it's something I think is beautiful. And it's an Eskimo doll, and that's my image of beauty. And so when people are asking me, why are you into all this native stuff? And my white friends ask me these questions, and I'm like, they point out my jewelry a lot. Why are you into all this native stuff? Why are you wearing all this stuff? It's my grandmother's. And then my clay friends, why are you wearing all this native stuff? I'm like, it's my grandmother's. It's like, damn it, I have one ancestor from here. That's enough. That's all it takes. It's like, it's a struggling plant. It was really an emotional thing. And it's not just me. I ran into somebody at the gas station yesterday. I've been trying to figure out how to say this phrase, and I heard it in a language group at the library. The land speaks to us. And it's a really sing-songy long. I can't get it. I've been trying. And I ran into the person whose voice was recorded and saying it, and I caught him off guard. And he said, there was a time that if I said that, people thought it was simple and it was childish and all these things, and then I said, well, yeah, and it was David Katzik. And I caught him off guard, but it was a great moment that shows that this is changing, and that, this random white woman stops and says, I understand having said that phrase more than you possibly know, and I appreciate it. And I'm doing good. So it felt good to just have a vote of confidence, but those kinds of things. It's just trying to get it out in public. And so I don't know what I need. I just maybe ask people to slow down on the browbeating a bit on campus, because there's a lot of people who are trying hard to do. Move forward. It's the same vision.
Go ahead, Juan.
Chief. What were the questions again?
What do you know?
What do I know? What do I study?
How do you study? What do you know? What do you need?
What do I study? Lately, let's see, we took beginning Tlingit, intermediate Tlingit. I study through recordings, which I'm tired of. As an artist, you shut yourself in a dark room, put out as much stuff as possible, and you run to a shop and you never see anybody besides the shopkeeper. So I need a haircut, a real job, and $1 million. Oh, you mean in very little language? Language, I need some interaction, because I fell out of the loop, and you don't use it, you lose it, and you can only get so far on the limited recordings I grabbed before I left intermediate Tlingit before. So I really need to be able to listen to stories. I need to be able to tell stories because it's a vital component of artwork. It's one thing to hear it in English. It's another thing to hear it in Tlingit and understand it. I find it improves your artwork quite a bit when you know actually what's going on.
Yeah. Right.
So, and then it allows even more creativity of not just sticking to specific forms. You can play with them because you actually know maybe there's a small character that's mentioned only in one sentence, and you can incorporate that into the artwork. I would also like to be able to label anything I make in Tlingit, which is difficult, which means putting together sentences, which means putting together things and not just nouns. I lost my verb usage, but I think I'm hoping it'll pick up rather quickly if I got more interaction instead of just listening over and over the same through stories like that. Now that you have those Raven stories,
Oh, great.
that's something to do. So it's really nice to be able to get back into it.
Okay. Sheesh.
Me?
If you want.
I know nothing except like the touristy stuff I was told, when I came here and stuff. So, I mean, I just want to learn more. I'm a big like folklore person. Like I know a lot of the Hawaii ones, so I'd love to learn about the Alaskan ones. And like I was so interested about the eagle and raven thing. I've never seen that anywhere before. So I'm like very interested to learn more about how that whole culture stuff works.
Okay. Right, Kai. And that's good.
Okay. What do I know? I don't know what I know. I don't know. How I study though, I feel like I do a little bit of everything. Like I listen to recordings and I read things, and I try to engage with folks when I can. But I feel like just over the summer I was enrolled with the culture camp, and I was exposed to a whole panel of elders essentially, because I was chaperoning these students, and they were just like so fortunate to have these elders' full attention for 10 days straight, like just sitting there filling their heads with language and stories and information. It was amazing, and I felt so privileged to be there with them. And I was like, guys, I'm learning right along with you. Like, don't hold me any higher than you when we're like, doing anything, because we're all learning. But I found that hearing things from the elders and people who have more language experience, and then being able to discuss that with other folks who are learning, helped me a lot. And then just practicing what we learn regularly, I think. I'm not sure really what I need. Maybe just more time. I don't know. It's just super challenging for me.
Oh, I feel like I can understand a lot more than I'm able to put together. Like if I try and say something, I'm like,
Very.
And when people are saying things, I'm like, I understand you. I completely understand it, but.
Fun. I mean, that's a good place to be. You're like right at the doorstep of fluency.
Oh, sorry.
It's your turn.
Oh, I feel that way too, and then, but except for I feel like my responses are just slow. Like I can't think quick enough to put things together and to be able to respond. And I'm like, I know what I want to say, I just can't say it right now. Like, sort of thing.
Give me a couple hours. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. But I also felt like, interestingly enough, like in this classroom, I feel like when you speak in Tlingit to us and then you translate it, before you translate it, I feel like I understand a whole lot more. But then stepping into our Tlingit oral lit class, I felt like I got like maybe one or two words out of every little thing you did. I don't know why, but it was just like in a different classroom, I felt so different. It was strange.
Is that overwhelming? The literature, is that just reading and picking it out?
Was it hard? I
But
don't know if I'll show up.
when we were talking, when we were having all those conversations, there were times when I had to think about what I wanted to say, but we already moved on. And so I had responses that I could put together and included, but we had already moved on to different topics, so I felt behind. So I wish there was, some way we could make it not weird to, pitch in conversations even after the topic has changed.
Yeah. I mean, we'll keep it like super fluid. I mean, the idea is to create an environment where it's only Tlingit. And I think if you haven't been in those environments, then sometimes your brain is like, wait, I didn't get the chance when they told me in English, so I could think about what I would say. And so sometimes your brain is waiting for that lifetime. And then also sometimes you're just not. it's just, well, it's a different experience. Yeah, it'll be good to keep talking about.
Is that one live online as well?
Yeah, so you can watch on Monday. And that one, we probably did 50% of the class in Tlingit, maybe 60. And the goal is like, after our third class, we're not going to do any more English.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and you guys can always watch them online. You can come to it's Mondays at 5:30 across the way. And we just read stories and talk.
There was actually something about this class. What really intrigued me, what I want to do about it too, is like the concept of the totem poles, because each and every totem pole actually has a full story written, you know, and the whole status of it. Like strongman, that's easy. You can tell, you know, where he. I keep forgetting what his original name was. It was like blackface because of the claw on his face. Yeah, like before he got strongman name. Yeah. I mean, just stuff like that where it showed like the detail of it, you know, the sea lion and going all the way up it. You know, that's something I wanted to do because I mean, right now, the closest example I have for something like that is the Lion King. You know, 'cause I drew a totem pole with the story of the Lion King.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, the fallen father.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, vengeful son and the conniving brother. You know, like all three lions in different, you know, prospects. And at the top of it was, you know, Rafiki holding the little lion cub. Nala, or no, Nala, but Simba's daughter. Yeah. Well, holding Simba's daughter to show that that was the final end of it. The only reason I'm doing that is because I named my daughter Nala, who's the female lion king. And that's why I really want to get into this, just to actually get those stories in like that. Kind of like how that one group did Macbeth in full Tlingit. And I was like, that is by far one of the most intense things.
He was in Macbeth.
Yeah,
I was in
yeah. See, I mean, I didn't think too much about it that you guys were in it until now. That's cool.
Yeah, like I only speak Tlingit with my kids, and we're trying to get my youngest daughter to say the name of my son. And my wife, she kept pointing at my son and saying, "What's that do a sock? What's that do a sock?" And then she was getting mad, and then she said, "How to do she?" And we looked, and he had a little lion on his butt. So she couldn't point at the lion. Or is it tiger? Okay. We only have a few minutes. But yeah. Did you go?
Yeah. I was first.
Okay, so now we have Barbara. Sheesh, it's good to see you. We did introductions. We did what do you know, how do you study, and what do you need. And then next week it'll be a little bit of a different story because we'll kind of jump right into our lessons. Let me see. You might be muted though, so let me see. You might have to unmute yourself because I don't think I can unmute you if I mute you. Sorry. Hopefully we're able to figure it out. There might be a little button towards the top that says mute microphone.
I think maybe if you click on the screen itself to maximize it, you should be able to have an option for it.
Yeah, you did. See how it gets grayed out like that?
Maybe right click. Nope, there's no sub-command.
So there's some weird glitch going on where if I mute people, I don't have the ability to unmute them. Not only mute if there's background noise coming in.
You may have to re-log in. Or
Is she muting herself? Is that why you can't do it?
Well, I don't know how the others, I can't remember who I muted last time. I muted someone and then they were able to unmute. Oh, looks like you're, oh, there you are. Oh, she's, I'll mute myself. Okay, go ahead and tell us anything you want about yourself and your Tlingit studies.
Hatki Akshki,
And cheese.
Aksai, Yan Kakla, Yukhatuasa, Tlingit Anna, Ka Barbara Bas Yukhatuasa, Glakog Anna, Kokaton Shao Ayachat, Deslin, Dach Juanlin Juanu. Dachnach has Pusati ach yatri. Ach ye Katin is ach ye do us off. Ach sig yes catch. Nas du has Pusati ach Dachkan ka Kanatak ka Shuyes ka Hatsew out click off. Ach Leaf yan yes catch you do a solving. Ach claw Sam do ach you do a solving. Ach ish ku a clech was a coup glad ka was the tien. I said my Tlingit name is Shiankach Claw. From Teslin originally, and I now live in Whitehorse. I have 2 children. My son's Tlingit name is Katinas Och. My daughter's Tlingit name is Yaskech. And I have 3 grandchildren. The oldest name is Kanatok. His brother's name is Shkuyev. And my 3rd grandchild is he's Dachlawedi, and his Tlingit name is he'd be so upset with Grandma for forgetting his name because I've taught him his name. My from what I understand anyway, I've been told that my first language was Tlingit. I understand it fluently, right down to the speeches, but I'm having trouble with speaking. I speak a bit, but I have trouble speaking it fluently, and I want to work on my fluency. I'm presently, or just recently, been hired to teach Tlingit in our high school in Whitehorse. So both Sean and I will be doing that, and our goal is to be speaking fluently in our classes by the end of the school term. That's my interest in this class.
Ein hasakawani kusakhan tinshtu tu aka cake rock a way in kahwani gada Khatsut chaye ku gang aya khasaku hatling gidu khatungida Ako a khasaku wan qanins khlingiyat nasquing kiatina khasyati qatu wushit sin Achawe ayach yuch tangi that. You just chaye go genk awa uhan Tlingit yuch tangi stud ku just chaye go genk ga kanach aga shit the hain. Yewe wasaku ya kusti da. I say out in the cage. Kuchte kuchaya hayu katangi. Chuaya hashi ayahwa ach kuichten. Kone wuchik ayashukwa ach shi. Yahucha ach shi ayah kuchte hasbushi. Aka itlapnach addi. As the shadda hani ayah ach. Yande yanai lak. Sugar away you han yisa you hatangi. Gashi satin away yan. Chuaya ya tigao aya wush tin wutu ha. Yande yan tigak. You go one. Thank you guys for sharing. I just wanted to share some words with you before we go. As I heard your voices, I think when we're studying Tlingit, we're just like one organism. I was watching this show and they said there's this tree that has one root system, and there's like millions of trees, but it's actually just one big tree. That's kind of how I think of our Tlingit. So we do this with love for one another, with respect for one another. And that's why they would tell us these things when we were learning. And I think they told us this because they wanted us to tell other people. And that's why I was talking like that. And the parting image of our first week is I was at a kulik and I was listening to the response songs at the beginning, the cry songs. You know, it was the last one and they were finishing their cry songs. And it was really hard. And their leader, Teotu Ish, I just heard him yelling, Yande Yanaitlak! Yande Yanaitlak! And I just ran up to him right after and I said, that was amazing. Because it means you're on the verge of succeeding. And the way he explained it to me, he says, like you've been paddling for a long time through like really tough weather and you just see the shore right there. And you're just making those final paddle strokes to the shore, and you're right there on the verge of succeeding. And so maybe that's how it is for you, is you can just see that shore, you know, and a lot of people park the boat right there. We're going to paddle the shore, and we're going to fully engage in Tlingit this semester. That's it for this evening. We're doing a lot of get to know you stuff. But next week, ground running. Cheesh. Kuchaya.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, what?
Where'd you get your shoes?
Kalatish.
Kefa.
I love that. I didn't know they made